with a field guide in hand. Alden's idea quickly caught on. As I write, and this was in 2001, biodiversity days, or BioBlitzes, as they're also called, are being held or planned elsewhere in the United States, as well as in Austria, Germany, Luxembourg, and Switzerland. Last year in Massachusetts, we were joined for second events by students from all over Massachusetts, 100 schools. And soon, I might add, as many as 18 countries around the world were using Biodiversity Day or BioBlitz, and it continues strong. I've been in the interim in 2 such BioBlitzes in Central Park, New York. At Walden Pond that first day, I met Brad Parker, a character actor who plays you while giving tours of the reconstructed cabin. He's steeped in Thoreauviana and eerily convincing. He refused to deviate even 1 second from your persona as we talked, bless him. And for a pleasant hour, I lived in the virtual 1840s he created. Of course, to reciprocate, I invited him to peer with me at insects and other invertebrates between nearby stones and fallen dead branches. We moved on to a clump of bright yellow mushrooms. Then Neil Thoreau mentioned the singing wood thrush in the canopy above, which my deafness in the upper registers prevented me from hearing. We went on like this for a while, with his making 19th century sallies and responses and my struggling to play the part of a time-warped visitor. No mention was made of the thunder of aircraft above us on their approach to Hanscom Field. Nor did I think it anomalous that at 69 that time, I was speaking to a reanimation of you, Henry Real Thoreau, at 30. In one sense, it was quite appropriate. The naturalists of my generation are you, grown older and more knowledgeable, if not wiser. A case in point on the growth of knowledge. Neil Thoreau, the impersonator, and I talked about the ant war you described in Walden. One summer day, you found red ants locked in mandible-to-mandible combat, with black ants all around your cabin. The ground was littered with the dead and dying, and the ambulatory maiden fought bravely on. It was an ant world Austerlitz, as you said, a conflict dwarfing the little skirmish on the Concord Bridge that started the American Revolution. A rifle shot from Walden Pond. The slave, may I presume to tell you what you saw? It was a slave raid. The slaves, the slavers, the slave makers were the red ants, most likely Formica subintegra, and the victims were black ants, probably Formica subcerritia. The red ants capture the infants of their victims, or more precisely their cocoon-clad pupae. Black in the red ant nest, back in the red ant nest, the kidnapped pupae complete their development and merge from their cocoons as adult workers. Then, because they instinctively accept the first workers they meet as their nestmates, they enter into voluntary servitude to their captors. Imagine that, a slavery at the doorstep of one of America's most ardent abolitionists. For millions of years, this harsh Darwinian strategy has prevailed, and so it will ever be, with no hope that a Lincoln, a Thoreau, or an Underground Railroad might arrive in the formissive, the ant world, to save the victim colonies, now prophet of the conservation movement, mentor of Gandhi and Martin Luther King, accept this tribute tardily given. keen observer of the human condition, scourge of the Philistine culture, Greek stoic adrift in the New World, you are reborn in each generation and vested in meaning, new meaning and nuance. You were far from the hard-eyed frontiersman with a long rifle. Frontiersmen did not saunter, botanize, and read Greek. So how did it happen that an amateur naturalist perched in a toy house on the edge of a ravaged woodland became the founding saint of the conservation movement? Here is what I believe happened. Your spirit craved an epiphany. You sought enlightenment and fulfillment in the Old Testament way by reduction and material existence reduction of the fundamentals to the fundamentals. The cabin was your cave on the mountainside. You used poverty to purchase a margin of free existence. It was the only way you could imagine to seek the meaning in a life otherwise smothered by quotidian necessity and haste. You lived at Walden, as you said, and I dare not paraphrase, you said, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover I had not lived, to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to live so sturdily and Spartan-like, as to rout out all that was not life, to cut a broad swath and shave closer, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms. And if it proved to be mean, why then to get the whole and genuine meanness of it and publish meanness to the world, or if it were sublime to know it by experience and to be able to give a true account of it in your next excursion. That was your goal. On the other hand, you were mistaken. I think to suppose that there are as many ways of life possible as radii that can be drawn from the center of a circle, and your choice just one of them. On the contrary, the human mind can develop along only a very few pathways imaginable, however. They are picked by satisfactions we instinctively seek in common. The sturdiness of human nature is the reason people plant flowers, that gods live on high mountains and not in the valleys, and the lake is the eye of the world through which, as you said, we can measure our own soul. It is therefore exquisitely human to search for wholeness and richness of experience. But these qualities elude us among the distracting schedules of everyday life. We seek them elsewhere. When you stopped your outside obligations to the strict your outside obligations to the survivable minimum, you placed your trained and very active mind into an unendurable vacuum. And this is the essence of the matter. In order to fill the vacuum, you discovered the human proclivity to embrace the natural world. Your childhood experience told you exactly where to go. It could not be a local cornfield or gravel pit, nor the streets of Boston, which, however vibrant the hub of a growing nation, might cost a layabout his dignity and even his life. It had to be a world born of both tolerant of poverty and rich and beautiful enough to be rewarding. Where around Concord could that possibly be but a woodlot next to a lake? You traded most of the richness of social existence for its equivalent, richness of the natural world. The choice was logical for the following reasons. Each of us finds a comfortable position somewhere along the continuum, ranging from complete withdrawal and self-absorption at one end to a full civic engagement and reciprocity at the other. The position is never fixed. We fret, we vacillate, and we steer our lives through the riptide of countervailing insects that press from both sides of that continuum. The uncertainty we feel is not a curse. It is a confusion of the road out of Eden. It is just the human condition. We are intelligent mammals, fitted by evolution, by God if you insist, to pursue personal ends through cooperation. Our priceless selves and family first, society next. In this respect, we are the polar opposite of your cabin-side ants, bound together as irreplaceable parts of the superorganism. Our lives are therefore an insoluble problem, a dynamic process in search of an undefinable goal. They are neither a celebration nor a spectacle, but rather, as a later philosopher was to put it, a predicament. Humanity is the species forced by its basic nature to make moral choices and seek fulfillment in a changing world by any means it can devise. You search for essence at Walden, and whether successful in your own mind or not, you hit upon an ethic with a solid feel to it. Nature is ours to explore forever. It is our crucible and our refuge. It is our natural home. It is all these things. Save it, you say, and wildness is the preservation of the world. You were right. Thank you.